President-elect Donald Trump, you have on your campaign trail said that the media was corrupt. On your campaign trail said the government was corrupt. Now you've been elected President of the United States. Time to man up, Mr. President Donald Trump. Now honor the Constitution's checks and balances. You've had enough money to buy the seat of the President of the United States. But Mr. Donald Trump, time to man up. Man up to, you've been petitioned to honor the Constitution's checks and balances. This is that petition that was sent certified mail to you, President-elect Donald Trump. It's time to man up. How bad you want it? The president, the seat of the most powerful government on the planet. How bad you want it? They say you didn't win it. You got the electoral votes, said you did win it. But how bad did you want it? Do you have enough honor and integrity to uphold the Constitution's checks and balances to run a clean government? Mr. Donald Trump, as of right now, you're saying that the media is corrupt. Yeah, they got cartoons on you. The media is corrupt. They do these things. But if you saying that, then man up. Time to man up. I got the evidence that the media is corrupt, violating the First Amendment right to free speech press, a right to every citizen that enables them to bring the government to the media to see whether or not they are or are not corrupt. So it's time to man up. Here you're saying, at the heart of this election is a simple question. Will our country be governed by the people, or will it be governed by the corrupt political? Well, here you are, Mr. Donald Trump. Will it be governed by the people? I represent we the people, Jashay Miller. I represent we the people. As of right now, you no longer have consent to govern due to corruption in all three branches of government. So as you said, will it be run by the people or by corrupt officials? It's already been run by corrupt officials. Now, as you were saying, you've already given your signal not to call for criminal charges on Hillary. Okay, you've won the election. That's fine and dandy. You've talked about the Islamic State and how you want to get rid of them. You've talked about putting in a fence, a wall, whatever, to keep the Mexicans out. You've talked about Cuba. You've talked about Russia. First things first. First things first, Mr. Donald Trump. The FBI. The FBI is in on it. I'm talking about absolute power. This is total disregard for the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Total disregard for the Bill of Rights, the rights which government must protect, and total disregard for we the people's rights as citizens, the unalienable right in the Declaration of Independence. Now, these are certainly justified cause, first and foremost, before any, to protect the rights of we the people that have been taken over by government officials. You called it, now man up to it. How bad you want it? You call this. You call this. Sitting there talking about, are we gonna be a government run by the people? Well, I represent we the people. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge the Constitution's checks and balances. Now let's get started on this, because I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. All three branches of government are corrupt. So you no longer have consent to govern. As stated by the Constitution, we have a right, we have a duty to uphold the integrity of the Constitution and no longer be governed by corrupt officials. These corrupt officials. Here we have the Indiana fever, taking a knee. You criticize Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee. These people have taken the knee. From the start of Trayvon Martin, we no longer are. You taking total disregard for the lives of black people and took us from the tree to just straight up shooting us on the streets. We are known, our safety is in danger. Here, the jury selection for a deranged citizen coming in and shooting the people in the church. In the church. So as I said, this is of dire straits. For you to be president of the United States, you must uphold the integrity of the Constitution. I petition that. I represent. We the people, Mr. Donald Trump. Let's begin. As this is stating right here, this is David Cotton. At this point, there are no black people in the jury and no black people in the jury panel. We have a right to object to that. I can tell you I don't believe the law will support it. The law of the land. Here, if you must notice, to all veterans, because I also am a veteran of the Vietnam era, serving in the United States Air Force to protect the right to freedom and justice in America. Now, as we said, that they have taken over the government. So how do you do that? It's a Cold War. You do this by taking over the positions of power, to ignore the Declaration of Independence, to ignore the Constitution. I'll show you how they ignore the Constitution. I don't think Indiana is in full compliance with the federal government's motor voter registration law. As a result, we don't get a fair cross-section in the veneer, and as a result of that, my client's rights under the federal and the state constitution, look at what I say, the federal and the state constitution, to a fair and impartial jury as mandated by the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is then stated for blacks to have the right to due process, because under the 5th Amendment, where government is held to the rule of law, we did not get that. So here comes the 4th Amendment. And as you see, this is what it says. These are the transcripts. And he says, show it overruled. What you just witnessed, all American, Donald Trump, pay attention. This man just overruled the federal and the state constitution. That is absolute power. How powerful is that? It's so powerful that when this goes to the United States Supreme Court in the habeas corpus, which states, petitioner is entitled to injunctive relief for my immediate release from illegal imprisonment with reparations from judgment of the proceedings in the Indiana Vandenberg Circuit Court that I just showed you. He overruled the federal and the state constitution, the 14th Amendment to right to due process. How is important than due process? No court proceeding is valid unless the citizen has been duly processed. And so imprisonment pursuant to them is void, and therefore res judicata, that means the previous judgment is inapplicable in a habeas court proceedings. The imprisonment cannot be shown to conform with the fundamental requirements of due process. This is in the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court did an act against the law when they remanded me to the illegal, unconstitutional, imposed slavery. That's right, slavery. And if you thought it was an accident, it ain't no accident. You can make a mistake one time. You see, we're going to put the received date on there. Right there, you see it was received. So when it comes back a second time, it says petitioner requires the judiciary to account for a man's imprisonment. The judiciaries are the justices of the United States Supreme Court, our United States Supreme Court, which must review and give judgment affirming or reversing the conviction. The petitioner's restraint is in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States and filed a writ of habeas corpus. The writ's root principle is that government must always be held accountable to the judiciary for a man's imprisonment. This was sent the second time. Can we get the stamp up there? Got the stamp up there, let them everybody see it. This verifies this is irrefutable evidence. Impossible to deny. You've taken over absolute power. So, it is your duty to uphold the integrity of the Constitution. President-elect Donald Trump, man up, honor the Constitution's checks and balances right now. Before you take office, the Declaration of Independence states that you must uphold the integrity of the Constitution. I'll show you how corrupt it is. You said it was corrupt. Okay, here we go. This, Representative Larry Bouchon, take this to the floor so that the House of Representatives can address this and we can run a clean government using the Constitution's checks and balances. He failed to do that. This is to Senators Joe Donnelly, Senators Dan Coates. You can see it. There it is, right there. Take this to the floor of the Senate, the House and the Senate. This is Congress. To uphold the integrity of the Constitution. Wait a minute. Break it down. Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, informed Congress of the Constitution's checks and balances petition by Jashay Miller. We talked about he ain't done nothing. So, man up, pre-elect Donald Trump. Show us how bad you want it. Show us that you're going to represent we the people and it won't be a bunch of corrupt officials running this government. You just popped it off, baby. So here we go. United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch was sent to her. Do something about this. You the United States Attorney General, the number one to enforce the federal law. Here I am. And now all of this, you've inherited Mr. Donald Trump. But first things first, before you take that seat, call a press conference, December 1st. That'll be tomorrow. And after anybody see this and you ain't done this, then you're no longer eligible to take the highest seat. Oh, Mr. Donald Trump, you call all the rest of them corrupt. All right, pull their whole cards. Here, I got all the evidence that they are corrupt. And Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen. The Federal Reserve. Now, for what they did, they owe $140 million. Now, Mr. Donald Trump, hold up now. We talking about $140 million that they owe me. Pay up. Man up, pay up, and honor the Constitution checks and balances before you take the seat of presidency. Because right now, government has taken over, ignored, disrespected the Constitution. This is the supreme law of the land. You seen it? That's Paul Ryan. Speaker of the House. You know what? How dangerous this is. I'll tell you how dangerous this is. After the president. If the president's gone, then the vice president, vice president, then the Speaker of the House will be the President of the United States, and the Speaker of the House ain't telling the people of the corruption that's going on. It's not honoring the Constitution checks and balances. The Constitution checks and balances. Okay, we got three branches of government. We got the legislative. We got the executive. Oh, that's human. Well, it will be if you can man up, honor the Constitution checks and balances, and take the seat of the President of the United States. You're talking to all of these people. Talking to Russia, Putin, talking about Cuba, and their presidency, how bad it was. But this is how bad, this is the state. This is how it is right now in America. Take care of home first thing first. Honor the Constitution checks and balances. Petition by Jashay Miller, as I represent we the people. This is the voice of the people. I am the one that made that petition. You have to honor it if you're going to honor the Constitution. So if you want to take that seat, call that press conference. Inform Congress, inform the American public of the corruption that's going on in the judicial branch of government. Wait a minute, those were the representatives in the state of Indiana, supposed to be Senators Dan Coates, Joe Donnelly, Larry Bouchon, and ain't none of them took this to the floor. They would conceal the corruption, hid it from the public, evil, to hide their own corruption. The judicial branch refused the First Amendment right to speech press. That's how they've concealed all of this from the public. So now, here we go. Mr. Donald Trump, ball's in your court. Make a move. You want the President of the United States, then honor the Constitution's checks and balances right now. Right now, Mr. President, elect Donald Trump. Prove it before you enter office, because it's a Declaration of Independent States. If you fail to uphold the integrity of the Constitution, then you cannot be the leader of a free people. Mr. Donald Trump, don't be waving goodbye, none of the other kind of stuff, unless you have the integrity to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Man up right now. This ain't Hillary Clinton right now. This is the voice of we the people, Jashay Miller. As I showed you, we been shot down in the streets. The guaranteed rights of the Constitution, we've been denied these things. They caught all the way to the FBI. Oh, I know James Comey is not going to prosecute, but right here, FBI Director James Comey petitioned to clean up corruption in the United States Supreme Court. He ain't cleaned up no corruption nowhere. And here we go again, FBI Director. Yo, got his signature in the paper and all of that, where he's not going to bring charges up against Hillary Clinton. Well, they all in cahoots. It ain't going to happen. What I was telling you. Now the checks and balances. You got Congress. You got the President of the United States. You got the United States Supreme Court. One branch supposed to check the other branch. But what? Wait a minute. Hold back. Give me your own plain brew. We the people's rights being violated. Government is taking over with absolute power. Doing what they want to. You saw it. You saw it. That's right. Overrule the federal and the state constitution. That's how much disrespect, disregard, and a refusal to the demands of the Constitution of the United States, the supreme law of the land. That's right. It's all right here. And so, ball's in your court now, Mr. Trump. You do one of two things. You man up, first and foremost. Why you manning up? Hey, they can't complain one lick. But as right now, we the people are disappointed of the rights of the Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance, all these things been taken out so that they can come back and impose their will, doing what they want to. Mr. Donald Trump, President-elect, time to man up. Mr. Donald Trump, show day, show time. Let's get it on. Constitution's checks and balances. Let's check the judicial branch of government and see whether or not it's corrupt. Let's check legislation and see whether or not they corrupt. Mr. President, this is checking you. Uphold the Constitution, checks and balances, or you cannot be the President of the United States, as stated by the Declaration of Independence. Of the same oath, what I'm asking you to do, what you got to do under oath, uphold the Constitution and the laws of the United States. This is for you, Mr. Donald Trump. Got to do it right now. We got to see, prove yourself that you're going to do it before you take office. Thank you very much. As I said, I represent we the people. This is the voice of the people. If you're going to do anything, honor my voice as I represent we the people and have the evidence that all three branches of government are corrupt. You violated all three charters of freedom. The United States Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, which government must protect. They're not protecting it. They didn't hid it from the public. So all right now, earn that stripe. You didn't serve, I served. The flag on my chest, not an S. And now, showtime. Man up, Mr. Donald Trump. Call a press conference, what nobody else did. Honor the Constitution, checks and balances, petition by Jay Miller. And it be me against the world. This is David against Goliath, but the catch is, you already know, David slayed Goliath. Government ain't got a chance because the truth is what I've been given. I've been sent to represent by the Creator because His name is on this. Not making Him last or anything like that. Just saying, that's where the real power is. All the Christians, all the Americans, all the people, all the veterans, everybody. Oh, yeah, you officials in office also. Constitution, checks and balances. Thank you very much. Honor that, Mr. Donald Trump. Either honor it or get gone. Simple ABC. Do what you're supposed to do. This is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people.